Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It is a lovely, hot day. Trust me, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're doing very, very well. I'm here to talk about today a rumour that I see earlier on today. And I've got to be honest, I'm quite shocked by the way it sort of come out. Not surprised, but I'm shocked, especially after the recent sort of few days with West Ham. And the rumour is this. And it's regarding Benrahma and Harvey Barnes. Rumour has it. For me, the rumour come out that Benrahma, West Ham could be looking to try and sell Benrahma for about 26 million. I see other channels covering it, and I was like, well, I've got to talk about this because I don't really understand the reason why you're getting rid of him, because he's just scored a goal. He's just become a legend at West Ham, let's be honest, for scoring one of the goals that helped us win the cup final. So for me, I really don't understand it. I read the article. I've had a little read of it. Yeah, it's in the Guardian. And basically, Maxwell Cornet is in there. Fornals is in there. Now, the only thing I can think of, this is my own personal opinion before I get to your comments, is that Declan Rice is putting so much pressure on Sullivan, yeah, in a way to say, like, I ain't going nowhere, sort of thing, and I want to stay here. He might have to try and sell players because of the last year's spend. And I think this could be a problem from last year's spend, in my opinion. We don't have to sell Benrahma, West Ham. West Ham shouldn't have to sell any of these players. The only player that I would sell out the free is Cornet. I think it's been a disaster since minute one. I think if you could recuperate the 17.5 million that you got from him last year at Burnley, I'd sell Cornet. I don't get the Benrahma one, though. Yeah. Harvey Barnes is a talent, don't get me wrong, and I like Barnes. And if Barnes comes to West Ham, he should be starting for West Ham United Football Club. That's coming from me, and I back Benrahma up a hell of a lot, and I've supported Benrahma. But I've got to be real, and Harvey Barnes would be a talent. He scores goals. He's excellent in what he does. Do you know what I'm saying? He's got pace. He's got everything that we need for a left-sided player. But the Benrahma selling him for 26 million to try and sort of fund the Harvey Barnes deal just doesn't do it for me whatsoever. West Ham should be adding, not one out, one in, like all the time. So I don't get that one. The Pablo Fornals one is a bit of an issue also, because for how good Pablo Fornals is, and listen, I don't mind Pablo, but he isn't one of my most favourite players. Where does he fit next season? Like, if Paqueta's going to be a number 10 and everything, will Pablo get any games? I don't think selling Pablo's the answer. Don't get me wrong. I will say that. I think Pablo is a good squad player to have. He's good for tight games, and he's got the energy and sort of the skill to get out of situations. Do you know what I'm saying? But the Cornet one does irritate me. I just don't see why you wouldn't want to sell Cornet unless you just can't get the money that you really deem necessary for him. Do you know what I'm saying? So I thought I'd do this video quickly and just to quickly talk about it, because people have messaged me and said, I don't believe the rumours, but nothing would surprise me with West Ham, yeah, because at the minute, the best time to sell Benrahma would be now, because his stock is very, very high. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, if we do sell him, I'm a bit on the fence with it big time. I can understand the logic in going for Harvey Barnes. I think Harvey Barnes is a very, very good player, but I don't think getting one in, one out is a solution. Do you know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what you say on this. Let's get into it. So Daddy says he's not going anywhere. Yeah. This is all Alf's fault. Yeah. Anyone who see Alfie last night, go and watch the player ratings. He was talking his usual spiel about Benrahma. How about we shot off Cornet for Barnes? That sounds better to me. For me, it makes perfect sense to get rid of Maxwell Cornet. He hasn't done anything at West Ham. That's one thing I will say. So I'll just adjust this. He hasn't done anything of any note at West Ham United Football Club. Do you know what I'm saying? Fair enough, he's been injured, but are you going to get the best on Maxwell Cornet next season? Definitely not. Right? And if he's here next season, it doesn't work out, his stock's just going to go down. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I agree with what West Ham is saying. Who would you take Cornet? Or who would take Cornet, especially after the season he's had? How much would he go for? And that's the problem. Out of the three at the minute, the man with the most stock at present, from the article in the Guardian, is Benrahma. He's the one who's playing all the time. He's the one who scored the goal to help us win the conference. He's the one who's going to fetch the most money. I honestly do feel if Declan doesn't go, West Ham will still have other players to fund transfers. Someone said this to me last season. They said, James, West Ham don't spend this amount of money unless they're going to recruit it. Yeah. And David Sullivan don't spend this amount of money unless he's got a plan, a future long-term plan. So is Declan playing a game here or in a way to say, right, I'm not going anywhere. I want to see out the contract. They're trying to flog him. The fans don't want him to go. And Sullivan's in a bit of a situation there where West Ham need players, but he ain't got the money to go and back it. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. We need to sort contracts out first for Pablo. Only has a year left. So if he's not getting a contract, he has to be sold. See, that's another thing. Many contracts that need to be sorted out. There's a lot of issues at West Ham this season. Even though we've done very, very well, players need to be tied down, like long term. Like Jared Bowen needs to be tied down immediately. Do you know what I'm saying? The goal, obviously, that got us on our way to winning the conference the other day, he's the one who needs to be tied down. West Ham, and this is the fear I have with Sullivan. And I don't want to make it about Sullivan, but where he is the problem with it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because other sort of owners would have these contracts literally ready for these players. So, like, sign the deal, basically. So, yeah. Fuck that. I want Benny, and I won't be happy if he goes. I agree on that. Benny's been our best player this year. We need to keep improving and not sell our best players. We need him and Rice. I agree on that. We need Benrahma. We'd like to see Benny playing his 10 role. That's where he's better suited. See, I agree on that. I really do. I think, imagine if you had Barnes left, Bowen right, Benny through the middle as a 10, and then you had obviously a striker up front. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, with Declan Rice and also, but Paqueta in a two-man midfield would be decent. Like, do you know what I'm saying? The 4-3-3 is good, but then you've got Thomas Suchik in there, which is a bit of a problem. So, yeah, let's see. Let's see what Cal's got to say. Hi, mate. I'm an Everton fan. That messaged you after the final. Be strange to sell such a good player. I hope you're well, Cal. Yeah, mate. I'll be real. I'll be quite shocked if I'm being honest. Personally, if I was having a bet on this, I don't think Benny goes. But obviously, I've got to talk about it because it's what I've heard today and what I've seen on social media. So I've got to bring it to the table and get your thoughts on it, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, he deserves another year at least. Do you know what I mean? Is Benrahma the future of West Ham, i.e. on that left-hand side? No, that's coming from me. I've always said this. I said Benny's a good player for now, but he's not the player that's going to springboard us on in the future. But I don't like why we're selling players before we buy them. Like, where's the investment? Like, where are these owners, so to speak? I keep seeing it from other people, other journalists, preferably people on sort of the YouTube game, and they keep saying that West Ham's the 6th richest club or something in the Premier League. We don't act like it for selling one to buy one. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Do you know what I mean? So, make of it what you make of it, people. Benny's been amazing and done it in a clutch moments. If we sell, what a joke, James. I agree, mate. I really do. I suspect Benny wants to leave rather us wanting to sell. I read that Saudis were with their mega bucks of sniffing. I don't think so, Anthony, mate. If I'm honest, I don't feel that vibe with him. Why would you want to leave? You've found the best league in the world. You've just won a trophy. You got European football next year. It really don't make no sense to me. Like, why you would want to go, right? Fair enough, you can go somewhere else for huge amounts of money, but there's no competition there. And if it is just about the money, then football is slowly dying away, in my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think Benrahma's like that. I really don't. You see how much love he's got for his mum. I think he's settled in London. He's been in London for quite a long time, let's be honest. He was at Brentford, now he's at West Ham. So I don't really get it. I don't really get why he would want to leave. I don't think he wants to leave. I think the fans have sort of changed their tune on Syed Benrahma. I will say that. I think a lot of fans didn't like Syed Benrahma at the start, thought he was awful. And then now I think they're slowly coming round to him. Does he have to do more in a West Ham shirt? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's come literally. People who know me from this channel know I back him up regularly, but he's got to do more, especially on the left hand side. He's got to influence games more, like next season. But selling him just sends out the wrong message to me. Like if we're prepared to go and sell one of our best players because he's one of our best attacking players, then I don't get it. Do you know what I mean? Harvey Barnes, good player. I understand it. I see a lot of things with Leicester fans saying that his work rate is not up to scratch, and that's the one issue that they have is the work rate. So, you know, we'll see. Have you seen Colin Antonio? He's suing us at Everton. Yeah. Evening, people. We are all well. Make sure you smash that like button. I hope you're well, Lucas. You know what I mean, all the way in the US of A. We won't sell Benrahma. We'll sell it. That we'll sell him. We need them both. I agree. Let's get down the bottom here. If I miss your comments, it's come out today in the Guardian. I'll tell you what. The Three Hammers. Was it Luke said it, and I've sort of had a little read up, and basically it's true. Yeah, like there is other players mentioned, mine, but you know, obviously Benrahma fetches the most money, so he is going to be the one who's going to be sought after. Also, what Korak said in the chat is Fornals has got a year left on his contract. So if they're not prepared to give Fornals another year, any more, like give him a contract, then could Fornals be at the door and all? So there's a lot of major restructuring going on at West Ham at the minute. I will say that we need more players to compete in Europa, all cups and Prem. This is bollocks. Yeah, I know. It's West Ham, innit? Heard that both Antonio and Scamacca went out. Now that Moyes is here for another season, would you like us to get Jonathan David if available? God, I'd love Jonathan David, mate. One thing I will say with West Ham in regards to buying players and everything, we need a lot of speed. That's one thing we do need, a lot of pace up front. I think the one thing with us that we lack is pace on the break. But we try and play a counter-attacking style, but we're not really that fast getting up the pitch. When we had Jesse Lingard back in the day, he used to carry the ball well, and we need a proper good ball carrier. Harvey Barnes would be that sort of type of player. He could pick the ball up, he can carry it up the pitch, and we could be deadly on the break. The striker front, Antonio needs to go for me. I think last season he done okay. This season he's been okay, but it's just not good enough. If you want to, like, we need a striker who's going to hit between 10 and 15 goals a season. And for me, and that's in the Premier League, in my opinion, it's just not Antonio anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? If he don't score the goals, then we're relying on penalties or Jared Bowen. Because Benrahma's not scoring goals from open play, and then it starts going down the line. So Jonathan David would be a shout. Tammy Abraham, I see someone in there. I know he just picked up an injury, so he's out. Broja wouldn't be a bad shout. Get him out of Chelsea, good signing. But we're going to need players. It's as simple as that. And it's a big season next season because obviously with the Declan Rice thing, and I will talk about Declan Rice now, is sort of, I see stuff on social media, and listen, you can make it what you make of it on social media, yeah. But I see a video of him like talking to a young fan, I think it was on Instagram, I think it was, and he said like his future's at West Ham. Now that's got to be resolved. Now, whether like Dec's got to make a decision: is he staying here or is he going? Now, if he's going, West Ham have to get the most amount of money for him. Yeah, simple as that. If he's staying, he's got to sign a deal with a £100 million release clause. So if a team does come in for 100 million, 110 million plus, yeah, then West Ham can allow him to go and do it. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's a wrong move, him leaving this summer. It's one thing I will say with Declan Rice. I think if Declan Rice leaves this summer and goes to Arsenal, it just does not make no sense to me because they're not going to win the Champions League. They might win the odd FA Cup or League Cup, but we've done pretty well at West Ham to win a European Cup. We could win the Europa League next year. If we invest and sign players to build around Declan Rice, West Ham can win the Europa League next year. And because we're a decent side if we get it right. Do you know what I'm saying? So we will see. Tammy's out with an ACL injury. I did see that, which is such a shame, really. Good player. I think Fornals will fill Lanzini's role next season. Benny and Barnes will hold down the left, but we need competition for Bowen. It is true on that. I agree with you, Lucas. Maxwell Cornet, for me, I just don't see where he fits in. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't mind even giving them a part exchange. Like, give them a few quid and give them Cornet for Harvey Barnes. Thinks they've got a replacement. No one in the team with Benrahma was magic. I agree on that. Let's get down the bottom here. Let's hear what this man's got to say. Selling Benrahma would be a madness, even if you got a left winger. Benny would still be a smarter in Europe and the first sub you bring on in league games. That's one thing that West Ham do have to do in this summer transfer window, which is on the 14th of June. I found out yesterday. I thought it was the 1st of July. That's for like overseas signings and everything. But the 14th of June is when the season basically transfer window. So Wednesday is when it reopens. So you're going to have a lot of rumour mills going around. It is madness, really, but nothing surprising me with West Ham. West Ham always do the madness. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially with Sullivan in charge, anyway. Cornet should be sold before Benny. I agree. Apparently, Antonio wants out, but I can't see him leaving. Do you know what? If Antonio wants out, I think everyone would drive him to a place. Do you know what I mean? I think he's done very, very well at West Ham, and he'll always be remembered for that. But for me, West Ham need to go out and get a proper centre forward. Right? If it is Scamacca, then you're still going to need another centre forward because Danny Ings, for me, is just not it. It's just not it for me. I think he's a good sort of second, third choice, but even at second choice, do you really want to rely on Danny Ings to score goals for West Ham? For me, not at all. I just don't trust him at all. That's just my opinion. I think Scamacca's a talent. I think if you get pace around Scamacca, then we might have a quality player in our hands. But if he goes out, West Ham's structure just completely changes. Do you know what I mean? You're going from a person who can hold the ball up, attack the ball well, to Danny Ings, who's like, let's be honest, he's like an 18-yard box striker. So, yeah, it's tough times. We either train the flair out of these exciting players, or we sell them. It's ridiculous. It's not the end of the world if we get 25, 30 million for him. Well, for me, I can understand it, Redders. I know you're not a fan of him, so I can understand your side of the argument. If you go and get 25 to 30 million pounds for side Benrahma, it's good business. Really, you've had him for what, 2 years, 3 years? I think we've had Benny for. And if we go and get the money back that we sort of sold him for, i.e., like money back from when Brentford sold him to us, it is good business in one way. Like from a financial point of view, you're going to play for a couple of years. You're going to get the same money. You're going to get a younger player, I think, in Barnes, who's going to be a bit better in sort of scoring goals from open play. So I can get it, but I don't like it. I will say that. Jonathan David would be so amazing. He would be, mate. He really would. Quality player. Did you see Tater Salad? Yeah. Win the Golden Boot Award again, the third time in Czech. Thomas Souček won the Golden Boot Award. Fair play to Thomas Souček. You know what I mean? Ings has to go. I absolutely agree on that. It's rumoured that the kid was. Danny Ings is just too expensive for me. A Europa League starter. Not for me, Lucas, mate. I can understand what you're saying. Like, for the amount of money that we paid for this guy, and who's going to really take him? Let's be real. Right? I think, what's he on? 120 grand a week? 100 grand a week, Danny Ings? No one's going to pay that. Do you know what I mean? Maybe a new team in the Premier League coming up might pay that, but we ain't. I think we're a bit of a lost roads with Danny Ings. I think he's going to be here for another year. That's not good. I love Benny. He'll always be a useful player, whether he is starting or from the bench. Would be a different if we were Champions League club. I agree on that. Benny won't go. End of starting talking about Pellegrini and Barney, also the Monaco striker. Well, you know, whatever happens, doesn't it? That's at the end of the day. But for me, when I read this sort of article, I took it like a pinch of salt. Obviously, I've got to do this. I've got to come on here to speak about it, speak to you guys about it, and get your thoughts basically on it. For me, West Ham need a lot more. West Ham have more problems than just the left-hand side. We do need a left winger. I will say that. Don't get me wrong. I will 100% agree that we definitely need a left-sided player. But I do think left back and right back is a bit of an issue. I think left back. I know Cresswell's here, but you look at Emerson the other night, the way he goes forward and everything. Very good going forward, but defensively he's a bit iffy. Like he is. Like, I've got to be honest. The right-hand side, yes, we've got Ben Johnson here. Kafal, Kera. is it time that one of them sort of makes that their own and you have to get rid of one? For me, I'd get rid of Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson doesn't do anything for me at West Ham, if I'm being honest. And I think because he's an academy player, I think West Ham keep him there for the British sort of quota. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Kafal is very good, but yet again, he's another one who needs to sort of another contract needs to be sorted out. So there's a lot of issues at West Ham this summer. They have to start acting fast because basically the fixtures come out on Thursday, and we will know who we're going to get sort of the first game of the season. I want West Ham to be ready this season. Last season, they were signing players. They signed Lucas Paqueta sort of towards the back end of August. I remember it because we covered it on here. And West Ham need to go out and act fast and also get the Declan Rice situation massively under control and say, right, you're either selling him. If you're selling him at the start of the window, make sure you've got your replacements all ready to go. Do you know what I mean? So they do it. But yeah, again, it's Sullivan, mate. I've got no faith in David Sullivan whatsoever. I really haven't in doing the right thing. It just proves it the other day when he comes out in that interview 12 hours after West Ham just won a trophy in 43 years. Like, he comes out and he's talking about selling our best player. Do you know what I'm saying? So I've got no faith in him at all. Let's get to your comments. Doghouse 100, 148. I do like that, mate. The players we have are good, but they will leave if Moyes stays. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Is that a problem and all? That we've got a lot of players that don't want to be here. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's have a look. Ultra 505. Good to see you, Ultra. If Antonio and Scamacca end up leaving, I want to bring in Jonathan Davis and Lewis Opendon. I think he's from Lens, I think, if I've got that right. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm sure he's from Lens. Personally, I like Scamacca to stay and Antonio to leave. If West Ham go and sign Jonathan David, we're rolling, mate. So I do like Jonathan David. Alfie can't stand Jonathan David. He thinks he's massively overrated. I think Jonathan David's a good player. I think he's a sort of player West Ham can sort of develop into a quality player. Lille do generate some really, really good players. Right? And if you look at their team over the last 2-3 years, some of the players that's gone for that Lille side, decent. Do you know what I mean? The other lad, I'm not too sure about, but I've heard some really sort of good things on him. I'm sure he plays for Lens, I think, out in France, if I got that right. So he's a decent player. He really is. How much do you think we will get for Johnson? 10 million? I would get rid of Johnson this summer. Reason being is I think he's only got 1 year left on his contract and all, if I've got it right. And the year on his left on his contract is the one that West Ham have forced to keep him at the club. I don't think Ben Johnson's going to sell sign another contract. That's one thing I will say. And for me, I would get rid of him. If you can get between 10 and 15 million for him, I'll get rid of him. Yeah, because I feel you can go out and you can go and find someone else who could cover that sort of position easy. Do you know what I mean? You've got Tilo there, you've got Kafal there. Do you know what I mean? Even give one of the young lads who's sort of been really good in the youth academy, integrate him into the team, give him game time. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I just don't see where it goes with Ben. I really don't. I don't see him getting in. I know he's a utility man, but you can only do that for so long. Do you know what I'm saying? And West Ham, that's one thing I don't want West Ham to do this summer, is go out and buy people who can fit loads and loads of positions, but not the master of one. That's the one thing I will say. Speed of buying is of the essence. I agree, mate. 100% on that. It has to be. West Ham need to act fast this summer, literally, and get it done. We need to be careful we don't make too many changes at once. I agree. Obviously, I think you have to get the contracts sort of sewn down. I think Cresswell's going to be here. I think Fabianski's going to be here. Be nice to see Ogbonna be here for another season. I will say that. I think Oggy has been a breath of fresh air at West Ham. He really has over recent times. And I'll be honest, last summer I was doing videos on here and I turned around and I said, I don't think that Oggy will sort of outweigh the season. Because he got that bad injury and he was on his way back, sort of thing. And he got injured against someone. I can't remember who he got injured against. And he was playing friendly games. And I was like, he's just not the same player. He hasn't got it sort of thing anymore. But over the season, he's sort of come back into his own. I think another season with him as a sort of a fourth choice centre half, not third choice, fourth choice. I think we need a centre half this season. That if Zouma goes down, we've got a player in there. Obviously, Jonathan Tarr, is it, from Leverkusen? has been linked with West Ham for quite a number of times over the last sort of 2 months. And for me, from what I've seen of this geezer, he's rock solid and he looks decent. I think he's got a release clause, or he's got a year left in his contract, something like 17 million or something, which would be a good bit of business for West Ham. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he's a German international, if I've got that right, but I could be wrong. But Jonathan Tah, I think his name is, decent player. Great Benny, but having to inverted wingers without real pace is a killer. Limits us so much. Love a pacey left-footed left winger. Being Benny on to mix it up. I agree, Junior. I really do. That's one thing I've said to all the time. I've said West Ham need pace in this side. And listen, the boys know me, yeah, and that I do back Benny up. But as I always say, he needs competition. He needs good competition. And you might even get the best out of side Benrahma by doing that. I will say that. Richard says Jonathan Tah has been linked with West Ham for about the last 7 years. He has been linked with us a few times. Don't get me wrong, but over the last few months, his name keeps reappearing over and over again. Kilman's been linked with us as well. I'm sure Craig would put in a good word about us. Max Kilman, I'll tell you about Max Kilman. Max Kilman was a Maidenhead centre half. I remember watching him back in the day. Obviously, going over and seeing my local team, I used to see a lot of sort of conference games, and then obviously Maidenhead playing the National League, which is known now. And Kilman was a decent player there, mate. So, I think he might want to come back to sort of London way. £30 million is a bit strong for me, for him. I'll be real. When you can go and get other players from abroad, you could get 2 players of the ability or better than Max Kilman. Decent player though, I will say that. But we will see on that. The bee's knees. Oggy has done so well considering the bad injuries he's had. Always reliable, dependable, been a fantastic buyer, deserves another year. Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. I'm quite surprised by Angelo Ogbonna, how he sort of come back into his own. And I'll be honest with you, some of the games he's played this year, he looks like the Angelo Ogbonna sort of from the Upton Park days, mate. Honestly, he's been very, very good. Very, very good indeed. It's so nice to see. Let's see what Lucas has got to say. Lucas Paqueta. 30 million would be a bit expensive for a third choice centre back, but Zouma is injury prone, good competition. The only problem is with it, that I will say, is that that's a problem with me in regards to Zouma in sort of coming year. Can we rely on Kurt Zouma to play 75-80% of the season? And the answer to that is no. And that's a bit of a problem. I think West Ham need to go out and get their sort of centre half, their defensive sort of structure perfect this summer. I will say that. Last summer, we started off with Ben Johnson as centre half and Kehrer in there, where Cresswell at centre half at one stage this season. We can't keep having right backs and left backs as our centre half pairings because it just ain't going to work. Do you know what I mean? We're going to lose a lot more games than we win. And for me, I would like West Ham just to go out there and build a side, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? So hopefully they do that. Martin Trevor would be a great signing. He's a very good player. I remember him. I can't remember who he used to play for Ultra, but he used to always get sort of mentioned quite a lot. Someone did sign him. I think he got an injury. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, mate. But the win percentage with Zouma is incredible compared to without him. Keep him. 100% keep him. Listen, I'm not saying get rid of Kurt Zouma at all, mate. Listen, you keep Kurt Zouma. I think he's been an absolute breath of fresh air. But we do need cover for him. And cover of the same ability. Do you know what I'm saying? If West Ham are going to be in 4 competitions next year, which they are, West Ham need really 4 centre halves. They need Aguerd, Zouma, Ogbonna, and one more. Do you know what I mean? I think people say about Tilo, but for me, Tilo isn't a centre half for me. He's more of a right back. And I think a very good one. Do you know what I'm saying? I think when he played for PSG, he played in a back 3. Now, if West Ham are going to go to a back 3 next year, which I don't think they will do, I think they're going to go 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 at best. I'll play Tilo at right back or Kafal. Do you know what I'm saying? Tilo's the sort of player, the utility player that Ben Johnson is. And for me, you get rid of Ben Johnson, you keep Tilo here because Tilo's better than Ben. So, yeah, a 4th choice centre half or 3rd choice centre half is a major for me, and we need to get it sorted out as soon as possible. This Rice to Arsenal deal is everywhere now. Even Goldbridge come out saying he is going. Do you really think he's going there? For me, if he goes to Arsenal, I'm going to be. Well, am I going to be there? I love Declan Rice, like every West Ham fan at the minute. Yeah, some of the videos that I post up on this channel and on Twitter, and some of the videos I've seen of Declan Rice with the fans and everything's powerful. Yeah, if he goes to Arsenal, I am going to really, really question what his sort of mentality is to go there. Do you know what I mean? Because Arsenal are not going to be guaranteed top 4 contenders every year. Yeah, they had a good season last year, granted. But when that sort of Wednesday, Saturday games start rearing their ugly head and Arsenal lose a few games, then are the Arsenal fans going to be on his back? I believe they will be. I really do. I think Arsenal fans are sort of very easy to get on players' backs when it ain't going right. Yeah, he's not going to get the same amount of love that he gets at West Ham. And if he goes to Arsenal, he's just another player. He's not another, like, how can I put it? He's not above his station. He has to start with like clean slate. Whereas at West Ham, he is the governor, really. Like, do you know what I mean? He's the one that West Ham should be building around. I don't understand the comments, though. I will say that. Like, when I see 2 videos yesterday, and I was like, to me, this feels like Declan wants to stay, but he's not being paid the right money that he thinks he deserves. Yeah. Now, if that is the case, then that goes on the owner, and the owner needs to put his finger out big time. And if it ain't Sullivan, it has to be Kadinsky. Because Kadinsky, listen, I'll give Kadinsky benefit of the doubt because he's not the man who signs the checks. Sullivan, and Kadinsky has got a say in this, and he has to put his foot down and say, right, what does Declan Rice want? If it meant you signed Declan Rice for another 2 years, so you got him for 4 years, but you put £100 million lease clause in it, then that way, at least West Ham would guarantee it. Do you know what I mean? To me, it feels like Sullivan's trying to sell it, and it feels like Declan doesn't want to go. He wants what he's paid, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? If he goes to Arsenal, though, I won't be best pleased, mate. I'll be honest with you. I really won't. Let's hope you don't go there. If Rice's priority is to win things, Arsenal is the wrong move. I agree, Brian. 100%, mate. I really do. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of Arsenal fans. I used to live in North London. I used to live literally in a place called Hornsey in North London, which is like 5 minutes from Arsenal football ground. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans. And for me, I just don't get why you would go there. I really don't. I don't understand the logic in it. If Manchester City come in for him, I get it. I get it 100%. Pep, best team on the planet at the minute. They've got best team in the Premier League. They're the best team in the world at the minute, in my opinion. Yeah. If he goes to like another club, like Liverpool or something, I wouldn't like it, but I can understand it because Liverpool will always compete in the Champions League. Like, the Arsenal one just doesn't do it for me. Just doesn't do it all for me. I just look at it. It's like, even if you went to Manchester United, for instance, it'd be the same sort of thing. Like, you go to Manchester United ain't looking like they're going to win the league anytime soon. So is a League Cup or an FA Cup justifiable for leaving West Ham? When, let's be honest, if you had a League Cup or the Conference, what's more valuable, the League Cup or the Conference? For me, the Conference will always outweigh that because we've done that in Europe against teams. Do you know what I mean? Whether or not they were good teams or not is irrelevant. We've still done it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, interesting to see what happens with him. Fever is joining the dots. I'm going to be honest, mate. In regards of certain things, this is where I've heard this about Benrahma over the last sort of 6-7 hours. I'm going to be honest. It does not surprise me if West Ham keep Rice for another year and sell a player to fund transfers. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think we're going to see the same amount of spend. Gio said this to me when we done a video the other week. He said he's worried about West Ham in the sort of capacity of how they're going to sort of manifest next season. And I agree with Gio 100% on that. Do you know what I mean? I think it looks all good now, but when you've got to go out and you've got to go out and buy 4 or 5 players, really, you know, like a striker needs to come in because I don't think Antonio is going to be here. A left-sided player to come in. If you're getting rid of Rice, you've got to replace him with 2 other players. It's a lot to do and integrate these players into the side and get them ready for a full campaign. Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. Benny better not go, or Clive and WestHamOnline won't shut up about it. Do you know what I mean? That is very, very true. I think we have money. I do, but I don't think we're going to have as much as we had last year. Thousands, if I'm being honest. I'll be very stunned if West Ham go out and spend 150 million, unless Deck goes. Yeah, I really do believe that. If Deck stays here, are West Ham going to spend 150 million? I don't think they will do. From what I heard last year and over the last 12 months, people have said the same thing to me, sort of thing, as basically said, when they sell Deck, they're going to get a lot of that money back. And it wouldn't surprise me if Sullivan's trying to sell Declan Rice and basically asset strip him before he sells up the club. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Sullivan's going to be here next season. Yeah, I think the end of next season, I think that's when he was selling. He even said it the other day, funny enough, and I'm rambling on, but I'm going to say this. He said about David Moyes. He said about, like, are we going to have Moyes? If Moyes wants to be here, Moyes will be here for another season, and we'll assess it in the summer. So we're going to keep the manager here and not give him a contract. He's going to do a year, and then basically we're going to assess it next year. That to me says to me that West Ham are looking. He's looking to sell. When he sells, the new owner can give Moyes the contract, basically. Or let me rephrase that: he's not going to sell. He's going to make his stake lower, so someone else can be the majority shareholder. That's what I think could happen, but maybe I'm wrong. On West Ham, would pay 30 million for a Fassage, yeah. So he's another player that needs to be out the door. I'm afraid, waste of money. If Rice doesn't go, I reckon we'll get 50 million to spend. I agree on that. I just don't think that's enough to sort of fund us in where we want to go. Are Torino looking to buy a Fassage now? I think they are, but it all depends on what West Ham want, really. For me, Fassage, people say give Fassage a go. I don't really get it. Like, Jimmy, he scores one good goal over there, from what I saw, and it just hasn't worked out. Another player who's very, very slow, and with the Premier League, you need to be fast, and we're just not fast. I'm hearing rumours of 90 million for Rice and Smith Rowe, but that's mad. 90 million for Smith Rowe. See, I heard the same rumour also about that Smith Rowe. Some very 50-50 with the fan base on that one. Like, someone put a poll out and I see it, and it was like something like 65 for and 35 against. Do you know what I mean? Or I think it was the other way around. Sorry, yeah. And I was like, I think he's a very good player, Smith Rowe. I think he's the sort of player who would be brilliant for West Ham. But it's the injury concerns that he has, and if he gets injured, he's always seems like he's out for a long time. So is it worth risk? Is it worth taking and hoping for that? West Ham don't want to go back to the sort of Jack Wilshere days for me. They really don't. Let's get down the bottom here. What about Maguire on a short-term contract? Well, he's rumoured to be going to Tottenham, I think. So if that's the case, they can have him. But he will be gone, 100%. You've got to take into account the 200 million spent last summer too. I agree on that. Smith Rowe does not fit this squad. Another attacker who is stuck in between being a 10 and a winger. Not a no from me. I don't know, Lucas. I think he's a decent player. He's got a lot more flair, and he can drift in and out. I think he's decent. Deadline to purchase Fassage for 13 million euros has passed. They are looking for a cheaper fee. God dear, can't even flog him for that amount of money. He's your bulking brother, Lucas. What are you saying? There's no way we should be skinned. We've had 2 seasons of very high TV revenue and club merch. And I rented a stadium that sells out every week. And all the reports say we are like the 16th richest in Europe. I agree on you, mate. 100%. We shouldn't be like that. But yeah, again, it's the man at the top of the tree that I've always said about. It's the problem, big time. Let me see if I can get to anyone else. With more than 50 million from winning the conference. Yeah. 100% agree. So yeah, listen, before I round this up, it would be interesting to know what you sort of think on sort of players outgoing for West Ham. Obviously, we have mentioned it, but I'm going to go through it one more time. Obviously, for me, I think the goalkeeper situation is going to take care of itself. For me, I think Areola will take over from Fab. Fab will be the European goalkeeper next season, which is not a bad move. I think Fabianski will be here for another year. Obviously, left-hand side, Emerson, Cresswell, I think that picks itself. I do think you need a covering sort of player, like a utility player who can go on the left-hand side, but then Tilo Kerry can do that. So that really sort of takes care of itself. For me, Ben Johnson has to leave. Yeah, take Ben out. You bring in 2 other defenders who can sort of be a centre half or a right back cover, which will be good. Obviously, midfield, Thomas Souček for me is not a starter for me next season. He isn't. I think he's an okay player, but I think we're going to progress with passing and like technical ability. We're going to need someone who's going to be better on the ball, especially with Paqueta in his side. I think Paqueta stays. I think he's the man that you build around if Declan does go. If Declan stays with him, then we are cooking next year big time, massively. And I'm looking forward to it if both of them are here next season. Obviously, when you sort of divulge into sort of the midfield area, we are light. No Lanzini, because I think Lanzini will probably go. Flynn isn't the solution. He's the backup option for me, but he's not the solution to take over from Declan Rice. He's the sort of player you bring on European games, League Cup games, and hopefully he develops over a period of time. For £15 million, I don't think it's a bad signing. Yeah, I don't. But I will say one thing: he has to get more involved next season and sort of improve for me. Yeah, it really does. Then you got sort of like Fornals in there. If he's only got a year left, then for me, we've got a bit of a problem because we've got a player who's got a year left. Do you sell him? Why don't West Ham try and give him another contract? I don't understand that one. Who else is there off the top of my head? Obviously, Bowen needs to be signed up immediately. Like Jared Bowen needs to be signed down long term and get it done fast, because if you sort of wind him down, then it could be a situation where a club comes in for him and West Ham could be out of pocket. Obviously, the Benrahma thing we've discussed, so I ain't going to go over that. Maxwell Cornet, for me, it's been a waste of time. I'm gutted really about Maxwell Cornet, I won't lie. But it just hasn't worked out this season. I don't see how he's going to get better next season. That's the one thing I will say. Do you know what I'm saying? I agree with what Trost says in the chat there. We need a central attacking midfielder. I agree on that, because I think if we do play that sort of player in that role, I think we need someone who's going to be sort of a lot better on the ball. Scamacca and Antonio has to leave for me. I think after his performance in the conference final, I think it's the perfect way to say goodbye, let him go. He's done his time at West Ham. He'll be a legend, in my opinion, for what he's done at West Ham, the goal scoring, the winning the cup, everything. You've got to say it, even though some people might not agree with it. You've got to class him as a legend of West Ham over the last few years. Scamacca, I see the loan thing from Roma the other day, and I was like, yeah, again, it's West Ham. Yeah. Now, is that coming out because Moyes is here? Right? Has Moyes pissed off so many players that West Ham are in a situation where they've got an handful of players that don't want to be here and play anymore? All right. Is Fornals looking at that and thinking, if Moyes is here, I'm not going to be starting games like I did last season. So, so there's a lot of restructuring at West Ham. I will say that, and they're going to have to get it sorted out. So they get it right. Antonio going to be difficult to replace with his hold-up play. Obviously, I like the commentary striker, Gyökeres. I thought he was excellent in the playoff final, and especially in the second half, I thought he was good. He's got power, pace. I like his control of the ball. I think that's a good signing for West Ham. West Ham can go and get him done. Obviously, Brighton are looking at him, and I think it was Brentford that were looking at him at all. One of them clubs were definitely looking at him. So Gyökeres would be a good signing. He's a sort of player West Ham should be identifying for the Championship. So, yeah, let's get to the final ones of the day. Cornet has been a damp squid. Another Marco Bogus had to send a search party to find him. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. It is a shame with Cornet, I will say that. And I think that is everyone. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, people. My final thought on this sort of situation is this. If West Ham do decide that Saïd Benrahma is to be sold and Harvey Barnes is to come in, I don't understand the logic. That's one thing I will say. I don't understand it. The only thing I can think of personally from sources outside of everywhere else is that is Rice going to be staying? So West Ham need to start getting rid of players to sort of fund transfers because West Ham can't do it. let's hope not. West Ham should be improving this side yearly and not one in, one out situation. But listen, if Benrahma is on the verge of going, he's done very well at West Ham, in my opinion. He's become a player who's not been liked much at the start. Got better as the years have gone on, and now towards the back end of his career, he's become a legend at West Ham for scoring that penalty that got us on our way to that final. And Joe, I'm proud of him from a personal aspect. I backed him. I backed him from the moment he arrived from Brentford, and always have done to the day he goes, mate. So let's hope it's not Saeed Benrahma's last season at West Ham. Let's put it like that. Let's get Kevin. Hi, James. Hope you're well. I watched the final in Greece. Oh, very nice, Kevin. It feels like Greece here. I will say that. What is this? The best thing that could happen to Benny is to let him go anywhere. He's the most underrated player at West Ham. Dharma Chef with breaking news. Lucas, talk to me then. What's the breaking news? West Ham United planning for Rice's exit. Interested in Paulinho. Also keen on Leicester's Barnes. Moyes wants numbers and competition ahead of the 4 competitions next season. Rumour interested in Scamacca. So, basically, then it's looking like Rice is on his way out. Paulinho in, not for £50 million, I wouldn't do it, but yeah. I like, if that's true, what Moyes is saying, he wants numbers, then obviously Benrahma needs to be here, because that makes a lot more sense. The Scamacca loan thing, not happy, because then how do you go? That means you've got to go and replace 2 strikers. Or that actually tells me one thing, that Mikel Antonio is going to be here next season. And West Ham will go with Antonio and Ings and then try and bring in another striker like Gyökeres or someone like that. If you loan Scamacca to Roma, I'm sorry, but that's just wrong. Sporting not getting that Coventry striker. God, if they get in, mate, then yeah. Do you know what I mean? Breaking news, Dharma Chef has found a new hair treatment to grow his own hair. Fair enough, mate. Fornells looked very background in celebrations. Is he leaving? Do you know what? I don't know on that one, mate. I really don't know. A lot of West Ham fans will be heartbroken if Pablo Fornells leaves. But something Mitch said to me the other day, I was going to wrap this up, but something Mitch said to me the other day, he said, James, where does he fit? Like when you start next season, where does Fornells fit in the side? Obviously, he's a player, but is he a player that wants to be starting games? West Ham have got a bit of a problem in that regards, but we will talk about that another time. I am going to wrap it up there, and I'm going to say this before I go. Thursday, fixtures are revealed. We will be talking about when we got Luton Town are coming to the Premier League, which is going to be interesting. Obviously, the fixtures will be coming out Thursday. The transfer window opens on Wednesday, so don't be surprised if there's any more rumours or anything floating around. And I will be back again soon on that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to let love and leave you. Enjoy the sunshine wherever you are. It's absolutely scorching in the UK, I will say that. And it's like 28 degrees over here. You know what I mean? And we've had thunderstorms, and it's been been downpours and everything. But, it is what it is. Anyway, from me to you, have a good one. Take care of yourselves, and all the best. Peace.